What's going on, everybody? Evan Harrington here with special guest today. Got Coach James Rowe from Appalachian State. Going to be talking a little bit about recruiting and just the things you guys need to be informed of when it comes to getting to that next level. First, I want to recognize what's going on in the world, telling everybody be safe. We know the coronavirus is getting pretty serious. Guys, stay home, make sure you're washing your hands, and do what your local government tells you to do. With that being said, I want to introduce my boy, one of my mentors, my brother, I consider, Coach James Rowe. Coach Rowe, just tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and where you've been.
James Rowe, been coaching football for about 13, 14 years now. Started off as a high school coach down in Florida, where I'm originally from. Went from there, coached NAIA football in Tennessee, and went from there to a Division I FCS program in Jacksonville, Florida. Then I went to the University of Florida, the Florida Gators, and then from there to Valdosta State, which is a Division II program. And then I went to the NFL with Evan, with the Redskins for 3 years, and now I'm the defensive backs coach here at App State.
That's awesome.
North Carolina.
Awesome. So Coach Rowe's from the great state of Florida, where they just produce ballers out there. Coach Rowe, you also have a brother that's coaching college ball. Can you tell a little about that journey of having two brothers coaching college ball and coaching at the highest level, and how that experience has been?
Yeah, so we was crazy as we're 4 years apart, so we never got to play high school ball together or anything. He was a little bit better football player than me, so he went and played at Rutgers University. He went straight from there, playing there, to coaching for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then he coached at Western Michigan. He coached a little bit of high school ball. Then when I was leaving Valdosta, he came in to take my place, and now he's at Central Michigan, where they went from a one-win season to 8-win season in one season. So it's pretty big time. But now we kind of, it's a little weird because, we kind of recruit the same area, the same kids. I think our program's a little bit better, but it's close enough that we're still on the same kids. So that's a little different for us.
That's awesome, man. Very unique. Get to recruit against your brother.
Yeah.
Battle it out.
Yeah, I always win, man.
For a lot of our international guys, they struggle with the recruiting process because it is such a new and niche thing. Can you just explain, what are you looking for in particular when you're recruiting a player, as far as, his highlight tape, first of all, and then go from there?
So it's kind of the best time to ask me this, because since we've been stuck in the house these past couple of weeks, that's all we've been doing is evaluating film. So just in my area alone, within our system, is about 800 kids. So you can imagine how long it takes, to get through every kid. So what I tell every kid is your best plays better be first, because it has to grab my attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're an offensive player, your longest touchdowns need to be first, or something where you're breaking a lot of tackles or whatnot. If you're a defensive player, for me, I like to see a big hit first. I want to see that you're willing to hit somebody, want to put your pads on somebody, not afraid of contact. The next thing I want to see, especially if you're a defensive back, I want to see you make plays on the football. So that's some of the things I'm looking for. Overall athleticism, because in my opinion, some guys can play at this level, some guys can't. Some guys are D2 guys, some guys are D3, some guys are way better than this level and need to go to Alabama.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a DNA thing. What God gave you.
Yeah. So we got a lot of guys, they have that vision of playing at the Division I level, but sometimes we can't come to grips with reality. Division I level is very high. Division II level is not very high. But then, like you said, there's some guys who are at the Division II level who can play at that Division I level. So, can you just explain to the guys, even though you're not at that Division I level there yet, you still can get to the highest level by going to a Division II college, and probably would excel more because you don't get trapped in a wash,
Right. So I coached in back-to-back years. I coached at the University of Florida, where we had 9 guys in our secondary playing the NFL. And then the next year I coached at Division II, Valdosta State, where we had 2 guys. The one that's doing the best in the NFL right now is Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore actually just did a camp over in Europe recently. He's the highest paid nickel in the league. I think he's making $8 or $9 million a year. He's about 5'9". So the big time D1s weren't looking for him. but he's one of the best people I've ever been around, one of the best players. And out of all those DBs, 10 guys in 2 years that played in the NFL, the Division II guy is doing the best.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's one of the only ways you can really get better at this game is by game reps. So sometimes you go to those big Division I schools and you're waiting in line to play. That's kind of like our deal right now. I mean, we got 4 senior wide receivers. So we got to replace those guys, but it's been some guys behind them that's been sitting. Whereas if they were at a James Madison, they might be leading team in receiving right now, getting a lot of looks. So sometimes that's a give and take type deal. And Evan, with the NFL, it's so many people that get paid to go find prospects.
Yep.
You get, in my opinion, as a scout, you get more credit if you go find a prospect from Valdosta State that ends up being good in the league than if you go find one from Alabama. Everybody can find a guy at Alabama. So I think there's even incentive for the scouts to go find the guys at the small schools that they think can make it happen.
Appreciate that. So, guys, remember, there's nothing wrong with going to a smaller school. As Coach Rowe just said, you can excel at a smaller school. If you have the talent, the league will find you. And then on top of that, Coach Rowe, can you talk about how important it is for your grades? Because as we all know, football doesn't last forever. We've had the unique opportunity to spend time with KJ, and his story in the league, did his thing. Unfortunately had a, nasty injury, but he has something to fall back on. So can you talk about how important it is to not only pick a school in which they excel at football, but they have your exact major in what you want to do after your football life is over?
Right. One of the guys I coach with, he always says, eventually in your life, somebody's going to tell you can't play football anymore. So what you going to do then? Nobody gets to play football forever. There's a few lucky guys that they can, they're set the rest of their life after they get done playing. Landon Collins, Josh Norman. But it's only a couple of those guys out there. And to have that degree and something that you're passionate about beyond football that you can focus on and build a career on. And then I kind of look at it like this with the recruiting deal. So, if let's say you got a 2.5 GPA, then, and let's say it's 300 schools in America that's giving out scholarships. Let's probably, about 300. And you got a 2.5. Well, only probably about 70 of those can take a 2.5 kid. But if you got a 3.0, then now your number's up to 250. If you got a 4.0, you got the whole 300 that can offer you a scholarship. So you're just, the better your grades are, the more options you're going to have.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of a big deal.
So we got one question. I want to throw a question in here from Vonderlast. He says, for us in Serbia, how is it possible to get spotted and get a scholarship in a Division I school?
It's a little tough because it's hard to get into the. So the way we get our information on players is we get it through a scouting service called XOs, which they also do the computer service. So really for a lot of guys to get on that list. Now for me, because I have a relationship with Evan, he feeds me guys from outside the country all the time. And most coaching staffs will have one guy on staff that has a relationship with somebody overseas or out of the country that can feed them guys. We signed a guy, Joseph Putu, when I was at Florida, that I believe was originally from Canada, was playing JUCO ball up in North Dakota, I think. So, it's connections. Usually it's kind of weird connections, but it is tough coming from overseas. So that's, you just got to be that much better. And then it's like any business, you got to have relationships and get your film in front of the right people.
Yeah. And then we got another question from Finn. He says, do you think it's possible to play at the college level if you had a torn ACL?
Absolutely. Happens all the time. I'll give a story. So Jamel Dean plays for Tampa Bay Bucks now. He went to my high school down in Florida. And he had a torn ACL, I believe, his sophomore year, and then a meniscus his junior year. Signed with Ohio State. So he goes to Ohio State. They signed him anyway. They didn't like, how his knee looked when they did the physical. So they told him they didn't want him to play football anymore. So from there, he got a second opinion from Dr. James Andrews. So that allowed him to go to Auburn because James Andrews was the team doctor at Auburn. long story short, he was a 3rd-round draft pick, NFL All-Rookie team off of ACL and meniscus, and actually had another ACL in college. So, you know, it happens all the time. Guys come back off of ACL, sometimes stronger. Look at Adrian Peterson, probably the best example ever of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Comeback season.
Oh yeah.
He's a different breed, man. But
yeah, he's
like
alien.
Coach said, AP is a prime example. You know, if you have an injury, man, you know, it's all about your mindset. If you have it in your mindset that you want to come back, you'll come back bigger, faster, stronger. But you got to put in the work, and that's with anything in life. So, you know,
Right.
like Coach said, ACL, shoulder, whatever, you definitely can come back from it. We got another question from Lordting1. He says, really sending emails to coaches, is it worth it?
I could probably show you my inbox right now. I probably got about 1,000 emails. If I was you, I would send them to the lower coaches on staff. Because just like how those scouts want to find the diamond in the rough, some of those guys want to find the diamond in the rough. But a lot of times, you know, our schedule as a football coach is so busy, you know, that it's hard to check all those emails. You know, I might check a few here and there, but I wouldn't say it's not over 30% of them. You know, usually it's the relationship of somebody that I trust their opinion telling me, hey, you need to look at this guy.
Yeah.
You know? High school coaches, you know, if a high school coach calls me and says, hey, coach, I got a guy, I'm going to look at him, you know, just out of respect for him, because I used to be a high school coach myself. But just some random email from even could be a recruiting service in my inbox, you know, those don't usually make it too far for me, honestly.
Yeah, gotcha. We got another question from Milik. Shout out to Coach Cannon Matthews down in Dallas.
I see him down there.
Yeah, I see you holding it down. I see you, Coach. Got another question. Sorry. Milik, he said, is there a big difference between Division I, Division II, and Division III training intensity?
I don't think so. I think everybody's, you know, on par as far as the training. Some of the facilities might be different, and some of the resources could be different just because of the difference of money. But I would definitely say the Division II. I've never coached at Division III level, but the Division II and the Division I level guys they work just as hard. One, because they know, you know, for example, Kenny Moore went to high school with Josh Harvey Clemens, or you know, who played for us at the Redskins. So he knows what Josh was doing at Georgia or Louisville. So he knows he has to match that type of work in order to make it, you know. So I don't think there's a difference in the intensity. I just think it might be a difference of the way the weight room might look, or some of the resources. Sometimes it could be, you know, the quality of the food you might get after a workout might be a little different between Alabama and Valdosta State. But those guys are still working just as hard, man. And a lot of them guys have just as much talent, maybe just didn't have the size or you know, just didn't have something coming out of high school, but which they're overcoming.
Yeah. I want to add something to that, being that I'm a junior college guy. I definitely would say, as far as training intensity, there's definitely not a difference, because even at the junior college level, I would say I would put our strength coach that we had there against any strength coach in America, because this guy, he trained us like we were in a Division I or in an NFL team, because they were trying to make sure we were being successful. And you got to remember, these coaches, they're still coaching for their families. You know, they're coaching for their families. They're coaching to put food on their table. So there definitely isn't a difference in training, because those coaches care just as much as a Division I coach, because they're trying to get there. So definitely don't think there's a difference in that. We have a question from Neil. He said, how hard is it for a European player to get recruited to a college?
I think some of the issues with that, it lies a little bit on us as college coaches, because we're not informed enough about school over there, how the compliance aspect will work, things like that. You know, so I think you know, with Evan, kind of how you got, you know, how you do a lot of stuff overseas and you got all your contacts here, I think it helps a lot, because you're way more informed on recruiting a European player than I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that kind of helps with the process. It's definitely tougher than being in the States, because obviously if there's a player just as good as you here in North Carolina, then we're going to take the kid in North Carolina because he's at home. We know more about him. Now, if you're better than him, then we'll make that extra effort to take you. You know, so that's kind of the hard part on European kids, is that you got to actually be better than the kid in the States for you to really get looked at. You know, because if we can find equal here, then it just ain't worth it. It could even be if a kid in North Carolina is the same as a kid in California, and my school's in North Carolina, I'm gonna take the kid from North Carolina. You know, so you got to actually be better than whatever's available. So it is a little harder. It is
definitely. And I want to add to that. I just think, you know, the key thing is a kid has to be special. I would say you guys, especially to play at the Division I level, you guys definitely, you have to be special, because as Coach said, you guys are competing against, you know, all those high school kids, and then don't forget about the kids who are transferring with the transfer portal as well, and then the junior college kids, you know, and then on top of those post-program kids at those preparatory schools, you know, the postgraduate schools. So, guys, you definitely just have to be special, and it's not that it can't be done. You just know you have to put in the extra work, because guys are working just as hard if not harder, and they're closer. So, definitely want to tell you guys, be encouraged, you know. And Coach Rowe, like Coach Rowe said, every team almost has a guy who knows someone internationally, whether it's me or another company. You know, get in touch with somebody who can help you. I might not have the contact that someone else has. You know, go to that guy. You know, we just want to help you guys in any way we can. Got one more question from Riley G8. If you had to name a few things that you use in evaluating players, what three would you use?
I think it's different at every position, you know. So if I'm looking at a defensive back, you know, first of all, can he run? You know, is he fast enough? Is he going to have to worry about a guy running by him all game? So first of all, you got to be fast enough. Second of all, I want to see that you're able to play the ball while it's in the air, you know, because at defensive back, there's going to be times that people, they're just going to try you and throw the ball up to the receiver. And I want to see that you can go up and compete for the ball just as well as those receivers can. And then the last thing I want to see is that you got good change of direction and burst. You know, so when you're coming and switching directions, from whichever way you're going, I want to see that you can burst out of those breaks. Whereas when I'm looking at a linebacker, I want to see that he'll hit people first, you know, because it's violent up there. Same with safeties. I want to see that they'll hit people, you know. So linebacker, hit people, lateral quickness, and then can he tackle in the open field? Safeties, can they play the ball? Will they hit people? And then usually when I get to know them, I want to see about their IQ, because a lot of times the safeties are the quarterbacks of the defense. You know, defensive line, how do they come out their hips? Are they quick off the ball? You know, and then when they hit people, do they go backwards? What is their strength like? You know, so it's different for every position. You know, it's more specific. I'll do offense as I just did defense. So receivers, you know, just personally what I'm looking for as I'm evaluating guys in my area. Wide receivers, I want to see that they can run, right? I want to see that they change direction well, and then I want to see good body control and good ball skills. Running backs, you know, how fast are they? Do they make people miss an open field? And do they have good balance to break tackles? Offensive linemen, I'm looking for length. I want them, you know, to where, you know, they can get their hands on the defender before that defender can get their hands on them. I'm looking for the ability to be nasty. You know, sometimes big guys don't have that mean streak in them. Yeah. You know, I want them to dump a guy on the ground and go lay on top of him and push his face mask in the ground a little bit, let him know who's the boss. You know, so I want to see that out of them. And then I want to, in our scheme, we want to see quick feet because of the scheme we run. Quarterbacks, you know, you know, how good a feet they have, and then the decision making. And then tight ends is kind of a blend of wide receiver and O-line, you know, depending on what type of tight end is he in the line guide, and you want to see good length and be able to, you know, block guys at the point of attack, not get knocked backwards. If he's a split out guy, you want to see him be able to go high point the ball, you know, win with his size. So those kind of things I look at personally.
Appreciate it, Coach. And then the last question I want to point on, as you talked about just now and things you're looking for that I think people kind of take for granted is the football IQ, because some people think it's just all about playing, but we know as this game is evolving at the NFL level, at the college level, coaches are getting smarter, players have to get smarter. So can you talk about just football IQ and what that means when you say that?
So, you know, I think to last a long time in the NFL, there's two type of guys that last a long time. One, they were born different than everybody else. Adrian Peterson, right? Alien. He wasn't born on Earth. All right. Then you got some guys that's just so smart that they outplay their talent because they're able to get an advantage of knowing where the ball's headed or knowing what the defense is going to do. And that allows them, you know, to get that edge mentally. You know, I was kind of talking about just with my brother recently, you know, and it's almost better. It's better for a defensive player, in my opinion, to know where the ball is headed than to have great technique. I can have bad technique, but if I know where the ball is going, then I can go make a play. To me, technique is relying on, first of all, I got to be as good as the guy I'm guarding. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the smarter guys are, and the more they're able to do, more positions they're able to handle, then the better they're going to be. So for us at defensive back, we like to try to look for guys that play quarterback for safeties. So if his second position on offense is quarterback, that kind of excites us because we're thinking that, you know, this is a smart guy, you know. And I see this question right here: how can you train your football IQ? You know, one, you can be a study rat in the lab with your coach. You know, ask the right questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. There's plenty of information on YouTube, on different stuff online that you can look up about football and learn. I mean, you can go look up Nick Saban installing Rip Liz match right now with the Miami Dolphins online right now on YouTube. It can even be, you know, just having an older player come back from wherever he was at and learning how they did it, you know, and still having an open mind to it. And I tell my guys all the time, I don't want you playing Call of Duty. I want you playing Madden. Yeah. Because Madden's realistic. It at least teaches you how to manage the game and game situations, you know, and then the basic coverages are on there. So I tell my guys all the time, man, we shouldn't be playing Call of Duty at home. We need to be playing Madden. Yeah. So, you know, it's all kind of different ways that you can help yourself with your football IQ. But, you know, the best player I coached in the NFL, in my opinion, was Quentin Dunbar. And that was because of his football IQ. You know. So just so you guys know, I know this person. I don't know if Coach Matthews still on here, but Coach Cannon Matthews and Coach James Rowe probably one of the smartest guys in football right now. So just so you guys know, that's why I wanted to point on that, because I admire their IQ. And when you meet coaches and you meet players, you'll realize right away when you start speaking to them, all they talking football, and they know every little detail. Guys, you really got to detail your work. Don't just know what your position is doing. Like Coach Rowe said, the way you're going to figure out, you know, where the ball is going, because you know what everybody else is doing. You know what the number one receiver is doing is going to dictate what the number two receiver route is running. You know, just knowing little things like that. You got to know every position on the field and what they're doing to increase your football IQ. And with that, man, I want to say, Coach Rowe, thank you so much for being on. Be safe down there in Carolina. Anything else you want to say to the kids out there? So my mom's actually from her ancestry.com back to northern France, man. So hopefully one of these days I'll get to go out there and visit. You know, I haven't been to Europe yet, but I've been trying to up my traveling game a little bit since I made it to the NFL. So, you know, I've been to usually North and South America, but trying to make it over to Europe soon. So hopefully get to meet some of you guys. Appreciate it, Coach. You take care. Everybody be safe out there. We'll be back next week with another guest coach. Thank you guys for tuning in. Take care. Thanks. Bye.